Alright YouTube, so we are back, of course, to talk about some Final Fantasy VII, and as I mentioned in our last video, the next video we do is looking at the newer information out there for Ever Crisis and First Soldier, the interview that Nomura did with Famitsu, and that's, of course, what we're here to do today. Now, I've said in the past, I'm kind of mixed on the First Soldier, a mobile battle royale for Final Fantasy VII. I will never get over the fact that that fucking concept of a game exists. That's a real thing that is happening. And look, I'm into battle royales, man. When it comes to like multiplayer games, that's kind of the only thing I've played over the past couple of years. Kind of since like PUBG came to console, like Blackout for Black Ops 4. Like that's kind of all I've ever played. I don't really play basic multiplayer like shooter games anymore. It's battle royale or kind of nothing. So I'm into that genre, but not so much mobile battle royale. That's why it's kind of weird. But the fact that it's related to Final Fantasy VII, like I have to. It's literally in my blood to check this game out, whether I'm gonna like it or not. However, when it comes to Ever Crisis, like the more I think about it and talk about it, I'm very much looking forward to this, even though it is also a mobile game. But to have in your pocket, on your phone, like the entire Final Fantasy VII compilation, like that's going to be very, very interesting, man. For someone like me who's not like crazy super knowledgeable for Final Fantasy VII, I think I have pretty good knowledge, but like stuff like Before Crisis and Dirge of Cerberus, I've never played them, so I lack a lot of knowledge there. I know some things about those games. Even Crisis Core, which I have played quite a few times over the years, it's not something I have super memorized like I do Final Fantasy VII. And even when it comes to Final Fantasy VII, occasionally I get things wrong. Like I'm just not the lore guy, so to be able to just like play over and over the compilation from my phone anytime I want to, that's going to be really nice. To like learn so much more about Final Fantasy VII than I feel like I already know. So naturally, we're just going to hop right into it, and of course, these translations are brought to us by Audrey on Twitter. So first up, they asked Nomura, it's surprising that the Final Fantasy series will include a Battle Royale type game with FF7 The First Soldier. Fans of FF7 are, of course, intrigued, but this also appeals to other types of gamers as well. There are many similar games out there, such as PUBG, Fortnite, Apex Legends, Knives Out, etc., so who exactly is this work targeting? While the fans of FF7 have stuck with IP for a very long time, we wanted to tackle the challenge of appealing to people outside of the FF market. While I feel like the big name of FF7 will always overshadow this, we're pretty much entering the popular genre as a completely new challenger with FF7 First Soldier. Those who play Battle Royale genre games might not even know Final Fantasy VII or have ever played a Final Fantasy game before. While we hope that those who play this game are already interested in the world of Final Fantasy VII, we can't just release a lukewarm title, so we are really putting our all into making this game. Since this is a new genre for us, it might also be a new experience for FF7 fans as well. We hope you can join us in this challenge. So the TLDR and all that shit is that they're doing it to make money. They're hopping into the Battle Royale genre kind of late, to be honest. Like, it's still a popular genre, obviously. Maybe even still the most popular genre, but it's like, it's been a thing for a lot of years now. I don't know. Anyways, they're hopping into it to appeal to new players, trying to get more players into the Final Fantasy games themselves, FF7 games, etc., etc. Stuff we already kind of knew, or assumed. I'll be honest, man, I think my biggest issue here with this, besides the fact that it is a Final Fantasy VII Battle Royale, is that it is a mobile game. Like, if this was a console Battle Royale set in Final Fantasy VII, like, I feel like I'd be a little more hyped, probably actually maybe even excited. I'd still meme and joke about it and shit, obviously, because it's kind of ridiculous that it exists. But I think I'd be a little more excited, man. It's weird that it's only mobile. Are the three players that appear in the top left screen your comrades? There are job icons that represent a fist, sword, and staff, but can you also change jobs during battles? While in FF7 you're not able to change jobs, this element is unique and does exist in other Final Fantasy games, so we decided to incorporate it. As you might have guessed, each player can decide on their own job, referred to as style in-game. So that's what those icons mean. Each style has its own power and skills, and you can set this during each battle. There's also an advantage to stick with only one style, and we'll explain more about this at a different time. So this is actually something I was pretty interested in, because within the gameplay of First Soldier, you see characters using like magic and abilities and stuff like that, and I was curious how that worked. Like, was that going to be like materia potentially that you loot off the ground? That's how you can use those abilities? Or was there going to be like character classes essentially? It seems like there is, and that you maybe could still loot materia and gives you certain abilities or something, I don't know. But I do like the idea that you can pick like a certain style of character instead of like everybody dropping into this battle royale or just like a blank slate and you just loot and kill each other, which is fun too. But I do like the character you're picking matters. The style, abilities, all that stuff matters. And as for Nomura saying that there's some sort of advantage to sticking with one style, more than likely that just means like you can level up your abilities. If you just keep using that style over and over, you can probably level up whatever the skills are that you have. Do you have plans for a beta test? We have plans to distribute a closed beta with details announced later. So for those that might not be aware, a closed beta is kind of exactly how it sounds. It's closed off from the public. Not everybody can do it, whether that's invite only. Maybe you have to buy something or do something in order to get into the beta. An example I can give of this is like with the more recent Call of Duties, like generally speaking, you have to pre-order the game to get into the beta. Sometimes they do also still do an open beta at some point, but like the first week will be for the people that like pre-order the game usually. So this is definitely something we'll keep an eye out for. For those of you that are interested in trying out the First Soldier, when this closed beta happens, if there's a way that we could do it, because it could be like a Japan only thing for all we know. But if there's a way that we can get in on this beta, I'll definitely cover that for you guys. Anyways, on to the Ever Crisis stuff. So they say, lastly, let's talk about FF7 Ever Crisis. In our previous interview, you mentioned that the game will be released in chapters. Will the chapters be free and include the story too? Also, what exactly is the in-game transaction part? Each chapter will be free to play. In regards to the in-game transactions, it refers to weapon gacha. You'll be able to get special weapons or new costumes that do not exist in the original game. This will add to the experience. So this is absolutely fantastic news. I know a lot of people aren't into gacha games or mobile games where you gotta spin to earn shit or whatever, but the fact that you can play every chapter, all of the compilation once it all comes out, entirely free, that's a fantastic news, right? And as long as the currency that you spend on the gacha items, like opening chests or whatever it might be to get like the weapons and the costumes, as long as the currency you spend on that is something you can also earn in game, then we're good, right? Whether that's gil or gems or whatever. Like if I can grind to do some quest missions or whatever and earn some gems to like open up some of these weapon boxes and costume boxes, then I'm good. If I want to spend some money, I can. I don't have to though. What's the length of each chapter like? Can you give us an example of how long the original FF7 story will be? The original Final Fantasy VII will be condensed into about 10 chapters. To elaborate, it will take 3 chapters to escape from Midgar. The other compilation titles will probably follow this same chapter pacing. So that's definitely interesting, man. So with Ever Crisis, the Final Fantasy VII story, original FF7, will be told over the span of 10 chapters. I'm kind of curious how long these chapters are going to be, and like the Midgar segment alone is going to take up 3 of those 10 chapters, or roughly 10 chapters. Because I believe they said they're going to put out like 1 or 2 new chapters every month, if I'm not mistaken. So it's like, how long is that going to take to beat? Like, can I hop into the new chapter and it takes me like 30 minutes and I'm done? And it's like, what am I doing after that? What am I playing and grinding? What else is there to do in the game? Will Ever Crisis have any original episodes? Yes, we have some original episodes planned. First off is a story that will take place in FF7 First Soldier, which is the other game that was announced at the same time as Ever Crisis. The story for First Soldier takes place 30 years prior when Soldier was still in the middle of being established. As such, the younger versions of a certain hero, as well as Shinra employees and even other characters who will appear in the next installment of FF7R, will be present as well. It will give you a deeper understanding of characters who were not talked about much in the main story. They keep being kind of ambiguous with this about like a certain hero 30 years ago, blah blah blah, beginning of Soldier. It's like, it's Sephiroth. Just say it's Sephiroth. And this is the other part of the Ever Crisis that has me excited, kind of along with First Soldier, even though it's a battle royale, there's going to be new stuff there. Ever Crisis is retelling the FF7 compilation story, but there's going to be new stuff. They're going to have brand new shit that's, I'm assuming is going to be canonical, right? It has to be canonical, so that has me excited. Really excited. During the announcement trailer, we see the characters fighting the Scorpion Sentinel at the Mako reactor. Since Aerith is also in this fight, does this mean that it's a battle that takes place outside of the main story? Aside from the story mode with the journey of Cloud and the others, we have also prepared special dungeons and battles that take place outside of the compilation. You can create your own dream party and have fun challenging strong enemies. So this specific quote is one of the main reasons why I wanted to cover this information and talk about it, because I've seen so many people that seen that clip within the gameplay of Aerith fighting the Scorpion Sentinel and just couldn't wrap their minds around it. They thought like, to the point that they were thinking like they're breaking continuity. Why is Aerith there? She's not there yet. She's not supposed to be at Mako Reactor 1. And I just didn't put any stock into it. Like, I just assumed that it was either something for the trailer, or it's kind of an homage and a throwback to like one of the OG demos for FF7 where Aerith was actually playable in Mako Reactor 1. You also see summons being used against Scorpion Sentinel, which of course is something you could not do in the original game, so clearly this was something outside of the story mode. Ever Crisis is a retelling of Final Fantasy VII. They're not going to put Aerith in a segment of the game that she's not supposed to be in the story mode. I do like the idea of dungeons where you can build dream teams, and when they say that, I wonder like, is it just the main cast of characters, or could you go fight Scorpion Sentinel with Sephiroth in her team, or like Kadaj or something from Advent Children? Like, what kind of dream teams can we build here? Will the music be rearranged for the game? Yes, we will be rearranging the music using the original FF7 as its base. Not really surprised, kind of to be expected. Are there any parts of Ever Crisis that you were particular about? I was rather particular about having all the games fit the style of the original FF7, where the field map features many stylized versions of the characters, while the battles had the full versions. This rule wasn't present in other compilation titles, and the battle systems are all different. For this game, we're making sure that all compilation titles follow this type of format while also preserving the essence of each game. It's vital to have an interesting battle system, so I was very strict with my views on this. While we have heard from many that they want to play each compilation title on a console instead of on the phone, Ever Crisis will not be a substitute for that. Instead, the game is designed so that anyone can pick it up and enjoy the various titles of FF7 freely. So it is pretty interesting to know that the gameplay that we're seeing within the trailer is how all the games are going to play within Ever Crisis, so it's kind of weird because like Dirge of Cerberus was like a third-person like shooter-style game, so it's kind of weird to like how are they going to turn that into like this ATB sort of turn-based style gameplay that we're seeing? I don't know. FF7R is now free to play on PlayStation Plus, and it seems like the hype for FF7R continues on this year. We'll be busy with the FF7 series not just this year, but next year and the year after that, so each year will be intense. In regards to the FF7 series, consider the current news as the first wave. We hope you look forward to more. First off is FF7R Integrated, which will be out on June 10th. We'll also lift the ban on certain streaming restrictions greatly, which also applies to FF7R Integrate as well. I enjoy watching live streams, so I hope that you take this opportunity to share the experience with as many people as possible. So this is obviously great news if you're a Final Fantasy VII fan. The next 3 years, 2021, 2022, and 2023 are going to be very heavily FF7 focused. Kind of makes you wonder what exactly we're talking about there. So what we do know is the Integrate is coming out here pretty quickly next couple months. First Soldier is supposed to hit sometime within 2021, Ever Crisis 2022, but those are mobile games that are going to be updated and stuff's going to be added to them constantly all the time. So it kind of makes you wonder what else is going to be talked about, and it's got to be Remake Part 2, right? And on paper, based on the timeline of everything, it seems like that wouldn't be until 2023, but these are just mobile games, right? Even though they're going to be popular and supported, they shouldn't be the focus of everything, so that doesn't necessarily write off Part 2 to 2023. It could happen and be talked about sometime sooner. That being said, though, a lot of people have been saying for a while that that's kind of the window they're expecting for Part 2, and it kind of adds up when you look at everything. Here's what, dudes, that is pretty much the video. This ended up being so much goddamn longer than I want it to be. I'm not a big fan of making these 11, 12-minute videos. Some people are into it. They don't really care. I try to make my videos as quick as I can, informative as I can, but there's just so much to talk about here. So we're just going to wrap it up, my dudes. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel if you guys are new. Want to update more Final Fantasy VII, Ever Crisis, First Soldier, Integrate, whatever we're talking about. Turn on the notifications. Follow me on Twitter, dashingdavidYT. I'm a Discord. The links to my social networks are in the description and in the outro. Later, guys.
Used to care what people thought, but now I care more. And nobody out here's got it figured out. So therefore, I've lost all hope of a happy ending, depending on whether or not it's worth it. So insecure, no one's perfect. We spend it with no shame. We blow that like Coltrane. We in here like Rogaine or leave it like Cobain.